Hello, today we're going to look at the images of the respiratory system. We will go through the respiratory tract, starting out with the nasal cavity, ending up with the lungs, and talk about the cells that are along the way and some of the functions of the cells, and we'll actually walk through the images that we have to look at in lab. Hope it's useful. Images of the respiratory system. Hi, I'm Larry Johnson, a professor at Texas A&M University. Today we're going to talk about the respiratory system, and we'll see some images therein. Now, there are different types of epithelial cells, epithelium, that's located in the respiratory system. We start out with stratified squamous, and here we see stratified squamous here in the nasal cavity. Also, you have it in the vocal cords. Then we have respiratory epithelium, which lines the conducting portion of the respiratory system, and it has ciliated cells on it. There's also simple squamous cells in the lungs, and you can see these. A type 1 pneumocyte is a squamous cell. There's also olfactory epithelium located in the respiratory system, and that's like the respiratory, except there's more layers in there, and it interacts with the nerves to tell us what smells we have. And the cilia are very, very long on the surface. So the respiratory epithelium is pseudostratified columnar epithelium with ciliated cells on its surface. And we can see the ciliated cells, and then we can see the macrophages of the mucous cells that are in there too, or goblet cells. You can see those here, goblet cells. Brush border, and this is not a brush border, this is a ciliated cells. You can see individual cilia, and you can see the basal bodies, which is the roots for the cilium to occur. And so here we see in the nasal cavity, we see a highly vascularized area. If you cut your nose a little bit, it bleeds a lot. Inside there, break your nose, or you just get hit in the nose, it'll bleed. And there's cartilage in there. Your nose is somewhat flexible. It has cartilage in there as well. It also has glands, Bowman glands, and then here's pseudostratified columnar epithelium that we see there. If you look right in this region here of this slide 36, you'll be able to see the olfactory epithelium. There's respiratory epithelium in through here, but olfactory epithelium is in here. And here we see that a real tall cells, a highly vascularized area in through there, and then there's some Bowman's glands. Again, we can see the vasculature here, the olfactory epithelium, Bowman's glands emptying out in through there. Nerves, of course, you have big nerves there associated with detecting the smell. And that's right in this area in through here. And so we will look at that. That's our first one that we will look at. And so if we look at this area right over here, we'll be able to see the olfactory epithelium. So this is the olfactory epithelium, Bowman's glands, high vasculature that we see in the area. If we look over here, we can see respiratory epithelium, pseudostratified columnar epitheliated cells with goblet cells and cilia as well. Here again, you can see the cilia on the surface, the kind of dark line through there are the basal bodies, and you can see the rich vascular supply. These are the swell bodies that closes the airflow down to one side or the other side. About every 30 minutes it switches between sides, and these vessels fill up with blood, and whenever they do, they close the airflow down to that side. So another cells that we can see is if you look at the epiglottis. The epiglottis has non-keratinized epithelium on one side, and on the other side it has kind of a different type of epithelium. It kind of goes from stratified squamous to the simple columnar epithelium. It looks a little odd that you see on the body here. So on the respiratory end, you see the respiratory side. On the digestive tract end, you see stratified squamous epithelium that we see there. And so if we take a look at that, we can see on one side we should have, this is stratified squamous epithelium in through here, still stratified squamous epithelium on this side, and we see there's elastic cartilage as well, elastic cartilage And if we look over here, we can see epithelium that's getting ready for the be pseudostratified columnar epithelium ciliated cells. You can see it. So the ciliated cell, this is the respiratory side, and down here is the digestive side of the epiglottis that we can see. So if we look at the next slide, we can see the vocal cords of the larynx. There's two types of cartilage that we see there. In the epiglottis, we saw the elastic cartilage, but there's also hyaline cartilage. Hyaline cartilage is what holds your airway open, and we can see different types of cartilage. In this larynx here, we can see the true vocal cords, the false vocal cords. And if you look at this, you have respiratory epithelium here, but on the false vocal cords itself, you actually will have stratified squamous epithelium, which is a type of epithelium that will resist stress. So if we take a look at that slide, we can see it here, and we can see the different types of epithelium that's on there. You can see the muscle. This is a skeletal muscle associated with contraction and moving of the vocal cords. And on the vocal cords, we have the stratified squamous epithelium. Stratified squamous epithelium, in contrast, on the false vocal cords, we have respiratory epithelium. And so what we have here, the respiratory epithelium, all of a sudden, right for the vibrating part of vocal cords, it has stratified squamous, and then it goes to respiratory again. So if we look over here, we should be able to see respiratory epithelium with ciliated cells, and that's what we see. You can see these glands in through there as well, which add moisture to the air as it's going down through the conducting portion of the respiratory system. So we can, another slide, 38B, we can see the false vocal cords and the true vocal cords, and you can, what we just said, respiratory epithelium up to this point, stratified squamous epithelium, and then the respiratory epithelium again. Also in the larynx, you can see the glands, you can see the hyaline cartilage, where the cells in the lacunae, the chondrocytes in the lacunae. You see vocal cords, vocal muscle, vocal cord muscle. You can see the true and the false vocal cords located in this cavity here, respiratory epithelium that we see, and the stratified squamous epithelium on those. So if we take a look at that, we can see here is the, let's see which one is the true vocal cord. It's going to have stratified squamous epithelium on its surface, and that's the one that's associated with glands. Here's the true vocal cords right over here with the muscle. So stratified squamous epithelium should be along in here. Here we see stratified squamous very nicely there, flattened cells on the very surface. In contrast to over here, we would expect to see respiratory epithelium with ciliated cells, goblet cells and ciliated cells that we expect to see. Cartilage, this is hyaline cartilage, this is a muscle of the vocal cords as well. So if we take a look at the next slide, we can see the trachea. Here's the trachea. We got the tracheal ring. We got the muscle here, smooth muscle that will close this C in the case you need to cough. You could do that. So we got the tracheal rings coming down here. The bronchus, bronchioles are located inside there. So here we can see in this slide, happen to be a monkey, we can see this smooth muscle that closes the rings and the cartilage that we can see, and there's respiratory epithelium, and also you have glands in the submucosa. So if we take a look at that specimen, that's what we will see, and here we can see it. And so this is esophagus, but we're looking at the trachea today, and we're going to look inside here and see respiratory epithelium, which is pseudostratified columnar epithelium and ciliated goblet cells. And we can see the muscle. If we look in there, we can see this is actually smooth muscle that we see with long nuclei in the center and cigar-shaped type cells. We also have the submucosal glands right in through there. That's the glands below this epithelium and within the connective tissue as well. Again, we'll have a respiratory epithelium because that's what lines the conducting portion of the of the respiratory system. So if we take a look at these again, trachea, unfortunately I don't have slide 40 for us to look at, but this is what it looks like, and it would have, this is a muscle, a trachealis muscle that we see right in through there, which closes this C, hyaline cartilage, respiratory epithelium around here. You see hyaline cartilage, these are the cells of the cartilage, and this is the perichondrium, and then these are glands that we see in the submucosa. Again, we can see goblet cells in this respiratory epithelium, and you can see big nerves. It's a perineurium. These are myelinated axons in through there, blood vessels, and even occasional lymphatic tissue. Here's a terminal bronchiole, open to a respiratory bronchiole, which has an outpocketing of alveolar sacs, and then we have the alveolar duct, and then the alveolar sac, and then the alveolus is the smallest thing. So if we're looking at slide 41, we can see at the terminal bronchioles, we have these Clara cells. These Clara cells, I don't know what they're doing there, but they're there, and you can see them there intermittent between the ciliated cells. The little dots that we see there are actually elastic fibers that causes the lungs to collapse. Smooth muscle that we see there in the bronchioles, and we see smooth muscle here, and even little blobs of smooth muscle here. This is what closes the airway down in the cases of asthma. The contraction responds to smells or dust or pollen or something whenever it should not. So you see the alveolus in through there, and this is in the respiratory bronchioles. We see the type 1 pneumocyte, which is the one that lines the airspace, that touches the air. And then we have type 2 pneumocyte, and those are the ones that have a little bubbly cytoplasm in through there. That's a surfactant, which it reduces the surface tension. So we have these endothelial cells lining these blood vessels. We have type 1 cells lining the airway. We also have cells loose in through there. These would be macrophages. Also 41, we see a bronchus, a conducting bronchiole, a respiratory bronchiole. This actually has a little outpocketing, and we see right there. And then alveolus, alveolar sac, alveolar duct is what we can see. So if we take a look at this slide, we'll be able to see some of those structures. Remember, you have a bronchus if you still have cartilage. So there's still cartilage there, still a little cartilage here, so this is the bronchus of bronchus. And then the bronchioles no longer have the cartilage. You have terminal bronchioles. You can see the smooth muscle that's around that bronchiole. And then finally we have respiratory bronchioles. See if I can find one of these guys that opens out. This is a respiratory bronchiole right here, where you see some bronchioles and the smooth muscle still on the wall, but it's outpocketing to the alveoli too. So these are alveolar sacs in through there, alveolus that we see in through there, the alveolar duct coming through there as well. So if we go back to our slides here, and we can see another one that you can see the pseudostratified columnar epithelium, and we can see again the dark dots here are elastic fibers. But also we can see mast cells. Here we can see in 48, you can see the mast cells very nicely, but you can see the mast cells here located in through there. Here we see a bronchiole, and here we see the nerve in through there, the perineurium, blood vessels, lipid, lymphoidal tissue in through there, lymphoidal nodule, smooth muscle, respiratory epithelium. These would be probably terminal bronchioles in through there, respiratory bronchiole here with a little outpocketing in through there, alveolar duct, alveolar sacs, alveoli that we will see in there. And here's one that shows you macrophages that are in the airspace. These are dust cells that are located in through there. And if we take a look at that one, we can see cells there. There's a bronchus, a bronchiole, and then these are different types of respiratory bronchioles. This would be a terminal bronchiole opening up to the respiratory bronchiole. But if you look in here, you can be able to see these macrophages that are located in the spaces there. Macrophages, and these would be type 1 pneumocytes in through there. Type 2 pneumocytes are kind of in the corner. These macrophages are loose in there. And so if we take a look back at this slide, we can see the type 1 cells touching the airspace. The surfactant type 2 cells, surfactant producing type 2 cells, another one right here. Macrophages are in the center. Slide 41 and 42, you can see the mesotelium here. This is the outside of the lung. So this is the peritoneal cavity in through there. Actually, that is a cavity in the lungs, around the lungs, that you have in through there. Connective tissue, type 1, type 2, pleural cavity, I should have said. Pleural was what I was trying to remember. And so then we see the blood cells, the endothelial cells, the type 1 pneumocytes are located in there, and the macrophages. These are air macrophages that we see. This is type 2 pneumocyte that produces the surfactant type 1, which touches the air. We can see the bronchus, the conducting bronchiole. Then this is open to the respiratory bronchiole because it got little outpocketings in through there. Mast cells that we can see. Mesotelium lining the pleural cavity. Alveolars, macrophages, type 1 pneumocyte, type 2 pneumocytes that we can see. So let's see if we can see any of those on this specimen. And we can see this a real light specimen that we can see what we can see. There's blood cells. You can see the white blood cells in through there. There's probably some mast cells in there someplace, but for some reason this guy is not showing up very well. You can see the surfactant secreting cells here and there with the surfactant droplets there. The type 1 cells would be the ones that touch in the airspace in through there, and then you have endothelial cells around the blood vessels. I'm going to see if we see any other cells in here. Some lymphoidal tissue. These will be lymphocytes in through there, like a little infection or something. This is a blood vessel here, and here is the mesotelium lining the cavity that we see in through there. You can see the cells, simple squamous epithelium that line the pleural cavity. That's what we see on the outside there. And so if we go back to the slide, we can see that these are the type 1 pneumocytes, and they're glued together by these junctions. It would be the zonal occlutants, zonal adherents that would be holding these, and you can see they're so thin that you can see the blood vessels, the blood cells, red blood cells squeezing through the capillaries below. Here we see the surfactant secreting cells. This is surfactant lamellar body structure that lays over there, reduces the surface tension. Here we see the surfactants globules here, which ultimately will line the cavity of the airspace with a waxy type substance that will reduce the space, reduce the surface tension. So in summary, in the nasal cavity we had respiratory epithelium, and we have olfactory epithelium in through there. And also you have respiratory epithelium in the false vocal cords, as well as on down the respiratory tract all the way down to the respiratory bronchioles. Stratified squamous epithelium, you have lining the true vocal cords. Is where we have that. Simple squamous epithelium, we have lining the air spaces for the type 1 pneumocyte. That's the end of images of the respiratory system. I just want to thank some of the people that contributed figures to this presentation. So that's it for the lungs, and thank you.